This is another episode of Coffee Break Comics. As usual, myself and Georgie are here to bring you some comic-y related goodness while you enjoy your coffee break. Georgie, what are you drinking this morning?
I have no idea anymore. Lockdown has made time irrelevant.
I know.
I am drinking two
Nice.
scoops of M&S instant coffee, no milk, no sugar.
Ooh, M&S. That's nice. You
Yeah,
live in a fancy quarantine life.
what can I say? It's
I
the
like it.
small victories that keep us going.
True that. True that.
What are you drinking?
I have a very small instant with a little bit of milk. It's nothing too fancy because I had a crisis with the whipped coffee, which tastes disgusting. So I quickly just threw something together while we were about to record. So, but it's good. It's just a standard, and I use the milk frother to add a little bit of fancy milk.
I respect that choice. I like that. We've got one at home, and I keep telling Mom that when I move out, I'm going to take it with me, and she says I can't, even though she
Nice.
never uses it.
Also, they do cold milk as well as the warm, so you can make nice frothy cold brew, which I made the other day.
That's nice. I'm
Yeah,
definitely taking it in that case.
you should do. All right. On today's show, we are talking adaptations. So we are going to restrict it a little bit because we realise that there's a billion. One could say that cinema is saturated with comic book adaptations.
Saturated is a very strong word. That implies there is no room for more.
I mean, there is, but maybe give it like 5-10 years. That's a whole other topic. So we're going to. Okay, what? Sorry.
I want my Black Widow movie.
Oh, that's true. I mean, it is on the way, so I'll allow it. But
okay, it's en route.
En route is fine. So we're only going to look at basically anything that is not the big two. We're going to bring you a separate big two episode, which will just be Marvel and DC's films and TV show adaptations.
Mm-hmm.
But there's so many that we could not fit them in with the other ones that we have earmarked for today.
Yes, our notes were getting quite extensive, weren't they? So we thought
they were. Yeah. Especially because we do not want this to be like 1,000 hours long.
That's true.
Cool. So we're going to kick off then with probably quite an early adaptation of this sort of resurgence, I would say, of Scott Pilgrim versus the World, published by Oni Press, who I think played like a huge part in the comic resurgence in like sort of getting everybody back into stuff that isn't capes and spandex.
Yeah, because I know for a fact you're not a capes and spandex lover, are you, in terms of your comic books?
Not really, no. I do prefer some indie action, a bit of horror, that sort of thing. But I do love the movies, so there's room in my heart for both.
Yeah, I think the Scott Pilgrim versus the World, I think it's really easy to forget that that's actually a comic book film and actually a comic book adaptation. It's one of those kind of like cult classic films.
For sure.
A very special place in a lot of people's hearts. Partly because it's got Captain America and Captain Marvel in it.
Yeah.
But I think with Scott Pilgrim, it's a weird one because its cultural impact was far beyond just a comic book film cultural impact. It's a fun story, and I think it gave birth to a certain stereotype that plagues modern culture and is quite pervasive throughout, of the manic pixie dream girl, and everybody wants the Ramona Flowers with their crazy coloured hair. Don't get me wrong.
No one wanted Ramona Flowers when she was grown up in Birds of Prey, except for everyone else. But all these manic pixie dream girl lovers weren't a fan. Where's the problem?
That's a whole separate episode.
Yeah, it is.
Where we dismantle that. But I think Scott Pilgrim versus the World, what it does in terms of like comic book movies things, it's not a comic book with an art style that I typically go for.
No.
But I think they really kind of replicated it in the film in a really effective way.
Yeah.
The characters were so dynamic and wild and outlandish, and the cuts you get and the action.
Yeah, definitely the visual effects that they added on definitely like enhance that comic book sort of style. Like you're almost getting the background of the panels in the background of the film stills.
It's quite campy as well. It's quite dramatic and Adam West Batman-y and like
definitely,
like which I really appreciate in a comic book film. But I mean, it gave us Envy Adams, so it can't be faulted. Let's be honest. Yeah.
I think
it's not one of your favorites, is it?
It's not particularly, no. I think it's fine, but it wasn't like a revolutionary part of my life. It didn't like.
Yeah.
I wasn't like, oh my god, this is the best thing ever, and I will live my life by this forever and ever and ever. I just sort of got the same vibe from, I mean, totally different films, but I got the same sort of vibe as in 500 Days of Summer, where it's just the concept of a person that they want instead of the actual person.
Projection thereof, as opposed to.
Yeah, for sure. And I think I was like right in the middle of like doing a film degree, and I just sort of was like, there's so many better ways to portray like women and write about women and relationships and healthy relationships. I was just like, nah, this ain't it.
At this point, I'm going to remind you all to head over to YouTube and watch the Gone Girl, Cool Girl speech.
Oh yeah.
Because every time I'm like, your regularly scheduled reminder to watch that.
Yeah, I'm gonna tweet that out in a little bit.
Yeah, it's very that, I think. But I think Scott Pilgrim, like you said, it was one of those films that when every generation has a film that people kind of base a lot of their personality around.
Yes.
Morty. That's not a personality trait.
It's not funny. He's just a pickle. I don't think anyone finds that slight funny apart from us. But it's not funny. It's just toilet humor.
I did it as well. Mighty Boosh. That was who I was as a person for a bit, and there's always something that people will.
Absolutely, and it all goes back to like how we use and consume media and how we use it as a personal a way of growth, and how we establish ourselves and how we make friends and how we fill gaps that we have missing in our lives. That these people can, these characters can replace the sort of fill a gap for like actual personal relationships, and they can, you can learn from them, and you will end up basing a lot of your personality on the things that are really sort of important to you when you grow up, and things that you really like give a shit about. But there comes a point where you need to realize that what was really cool when you were 13 might not be great when you're 30, and if you're still projecting the same ideals of little boys pulling pigtails and that sort of bullshit ideology when you're an adult.
Get right. But that's it. And I think what we've got to say.
Who knew that Scott Pilgrim made me so full of rage?
I know, I'm into it.
Not me.
I will say it was a very important moment in terms of like a watershed in terms of adaptations of these kind of films.
Yeah, for sure.
It ushered it into that cult scene. You know what I mean? I think it was important in that respect. And I'll be honest, it is a fun film to watch when you take away that aspect of it. I think it's really good moments, and there are some excellent one-liners. Bread makes you fat, like it's great. Yeah. So that's how he's on Scott Pilgrim. Who knew we had so many, and they were so visceral.
I know, right? Who knew that we were so like socially against everything that Scott Pilgrim stands for? Not me.
I think it's yeah.
So moving on from one sort of deluded, strange teenage fantasy to another, we're going to look at Riverdale.
Which is over to you. I've never seen Riverdale.
Now, Riverdale is one of those things that some people will just cannot understand why it's even on the telly. Some people will dedicate their lives to it. It's replacing the big Glee hole for a lot of people.
I was vice president of the Glee fan club, not flam club.
Not flam. That's a whole different thing. Singing about flam. And I think like I can take or leave. Like I am not up to date, but I'm on the right season. I find it's really glossy, sort of mind quiet escapism. Like, it doesn't ask anything of me. I don't need to give it anything. I'm not that invested. The storylines are utterly ridiculous, which I love.
Some of the screenshots I've seen, like, it's college football and it's my life. Like, okay.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's a tame one.
Yeah.
That's real tame. So
one recaps, I'm never sure if they're real.
Yeah. Oh no, they're real. Yeah. Yeah, no, it really is. Like, there was at one point that Cheryl thought she was being haunted by her dead relative in the form of a doll, but it was her mother who was living in the walls, which I didn't love that storyline, funnily enough.
Yeah, shocker.
Yeah. There was a whole thing about the teenagers getting paid to make videos of them tickling each other. Yeah. Honestly, it's bananas, but
it's one of where, like, all the teenagers are like 30, the actors, right?
Yeah, well, no, I mean, they're not 30. They're not like really bad, like One Tree Hill Grease level. They're like, I think some of them at the oldest are like 25, 26.
Okay, yeah.
But they're all ridiculously ripped.
Yeah.
Like, shredded. Like,
when I was that age.
no, like Archie, who is obviously like one of the, you know, quintessential like main characters, is running like a community boxing gym as well as his dad's construction company, and at one point was a masked vigilante and was roaming around town like beating up criminals.
Well,
and he fought off a bear at one point when he was living in a cabin by himself because he was accused of murder. You know, typical teenage stuff. Everybody's gone through.
I was 18, that's what I was doing.
I know, they're not even like 18 yet, I don't think. Yeah, so it's bananas, but it's, you know, it's sort of that really good glossy schlocky bullshit that you can just watch and enjoy, and it just gets put on in the background when I'm writing articles, really. In comparison with its comics, it's a funny one because it's obviously like a much more up-to-date, newer version. It's not the sort of 1950s Archie. So the newer issues, the newer releases that have come out sort of the same time are really good. So there's thousands that come from this sort of universe that are all Archie comics. So there's like Vampironica, which, to be fair, is boss. And it's written by our friend Michael Marici, who does a lot for Vault as well. Yeah, that's a really good story. The artwork is amazing. The book's really fun. She joins up with Jughead, who's a werewolf, and Jughead has a whole story about being a werewolf. There's Betty and Veronica and their biker gang, who are the vixens.
I know about them.
Yeah, that's really fun. I have that. I have the first volume, I think, and it's really good fun. And it's just really wholesome. And it's like all these girls who just don't have a place to like belong and don't have any sort of, who feel maybe like vulnerable or feel a bit like isolated, have like a group to be a part of. And, you know, cool. I'm here for that. Obviously, that's what we are. With less motorcycles for now. For now. Nice. Yeah, and it's just there's loads coming out, and there's like sure to be something for everyone in the mix. So there's like the horror side, there's the more traditional, you know, in line with the TV show sort of high school drama side. There's I'm sure there's like another one not coming to me. But then also in the same sort of universe, you've got the Chilling Adventures of Sabrina, which is part of the Archie horror family instead of just the Archie comics family. Brilliant show, much more popular than Riverdale. Yeah, brilliant show. Soundtrack fucking slaps every single time. Yeah, every season that soundtrack is banging. And
the latest season was great.
It was really like, it was a thirsty season. Let's be real, guys. Y'all know what we're talking about. There was a lot of yeah.
It was great.
Yeah. I've lost my train of thought now.
Yeah, me too. I'm fine with that.
So much. But yeah, really good show. We've talked about it briefly before in terms of the horror comics. The original comics are really frenetic and really sort of energetic, loads of oranges and reds. Really interesting art style, very, very different to the clean cut, new, shiny Archie stuff.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so I would definitely suggest, if it's something that you're interested in, but you have a particular preference for artwork, you have a little look at some preview pages. Because as much as it's really good and the art style is really interesting, and it really, like, I think ties everything together and like amplifies the story, it might not be for you. So
yeah, and yeah, that's the thing. It's I think it does definitely elevate the story, and like you said, the colours in it as well are very,
yeah,
very, very powerful. But if you're someone who,
yeah,
because personally for me, if an art style doesn't sit right with me, it doesn't matter about the story. Like for the art for me is it can pull me out.
It's make or break for a lot of things, unless I am like dedicated to the storyline. So I love Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Who doesn't? Right? I know. If you don't love her, get out. Yeah. So I've been making my way through the newer version of the comic series. And the first few issues were so intently my bag. The colours, beautiful, brand new up-to-date stories, so everyone's got proper phones, headphones, you know, it's not 90s Buffy anymore, it's now 2000s Buffy, and it's still but it's still perfect and it's still beautiful, and the characters are drawn as Sarah Michelle Gellar,
as a likeness.
Yes, as a likeness, completely as a likeness, and they look perfect. However, halfway through they changed the artist. Now the colours didn't change, that's fine, but the art style changed, and the art style changed, in my opinion, for the worse.
What about the lettering? Was that changed as well, or was it literally?
Nope, it was just the art style itself. So it was just the character styles. Yeah, it was just the character designs, the sort of settings and things like that. So where you went from this really like slick, quite clearly this is Sarah Michelle Gellar, you went to someone that wasn't as detailed, wasn't as refined, wasn't as much of a likeness right midway through a season. Not even like
pulled you out of it in a big
straight away. I have just cancelled my pull for the rest of the issues because it was just no longer like a part of that series. I could not carry on.
Anymore,
no, not at all. And it's a real shame because it was like a really enjoyable series, and I loved going back through the world and seeing all the other characters and waiting for our favourite characters to arrive. And then they had a crossover with the new Angel series and did like the Hellmouth stuff, one of which has like a really there's a Giles cover and he's like so sultry and it looks amazing. I'm gonna post it in the little video box. I have them. I will send them to you. I'll do a little post to you. I'm gonna post you my comics. And he's like, it's just beautiful, but then you get inside, it's a little bit of a letdown. But that is another conversation for another day.
Yes.
Always check your inside pages in the previews if you think you might not love what's inside.
Yeah, I've been burned before on that. Buy something for a beautiful cover and open it up and you're like, oh, okay.
Yeah, and you know, it's not that big a deal sometimes, but it can throw you out of the story. So I was really looking forward to a particular horror comic coming from the DC Black Label, and the front cover is gorgeous, like watercolor, really haunting, really frightening looking. Inside was a mess. I was not a fan, to the point that I've got issue 1 and 2 and I haven't even opened number 2. Yeah, and that's a floppy, so it's not even like a really big read. I was just like,
like a big commitment to sit and read it either.
No. But I was so put off from what was inside versus the outside. So one that does deliver on all fronts. Umbrella Academy. So now I feel like we were always destined to love Umbrella Academy, because you might not know this about me and Georgie, but we were massive emo kids and still are emo adults. Yeah. So anything he creates, we were pretty much bound to love.
I have a signed copy of it from him, and so obviously, as we know, published by Dark Horse, written by the inimitable god that is Gerard Way. However, art by Gabrielle Bart and James Jean, did a lot of cover art. And I remember I wrote a very lengthy and emotive article about this.
Yep.
I was so scared when they said that they were going to make this new TV series, because it's such a special place in my heart as comic book, and I will never. Mom's in the other room. She unboxed my limited edition white violin figurine. Oh, we don't talk about that. We don't talk about it because it's
Jackie,
and it was about a decade ago.
Oh my God. But the hurt is still so real.
Oh, in a very big way.
There's not many things I regret more than unboxing my original My Chemical Romance in their coffins action figures. Do you remember them?
Yes. Did you? I remember those.
I had Jared, I had Frankie, and I had Mikey. And my Mikey came with a special death card that only like certain amounts had. But I had them live on my shelf, and I regret it so bad.
Yeah. Our ship name was Broadway. Whatever. Nice. We'll get back onto that.
We are dropping some real young truths about us now, and we're gonna switch over before we embarrass ourselves. So, Umbrella Academy, what's new?
I was terrified. I'll be honest. I was really terrified because it's so special to me. And I remember when it came out on Netflix, I didn't watch it for ages. Like, I didn't watch it for quite some time, actually. And then I thought, Ellen Page, perfect Vanya, I'll give you that.
Yeah.
I always thought that from the beginning, and I sat down and watched it. And I was tentative. Mm-hmm. But then as soon as you have the scene of them all dancing in the house, I think We're Alone Now, isn't it?
Yeah.
I was like, oh,
Tiffany,
okay, this is perfect. This is exactly as it should be, and it's perfect, and I love it. I think I did fantastically. I think I did such a great job.
Yeah.
I really do. They kept the spirit. They kept the aesthetic. I think they did a really, really great job with it.
Yeah, I think they hit the nail on the head. Like, they really sort of got all the elements that make the series really, really strong and really, really like important for a lot of people, and managed to replicate them in a way that felt sort of like comforting to the people who'd read it, and also welcoming for the people who hadn't read it and maybe were discovering the characters and the storyline for the first time. Like, I didn't feel like I was being retold all the story, even though obviously you are, but it didn't feel like I was just rehashing over old information. It was almost like seeing it for the first time.
Exactly. It treads the line between not patronizing previous fans and
100%.
being accessible to new fans.
Yeah, totally.
And it's one of those things where you don't even sit there and think twice. Oh, there's Pogo. You're like, oh yeah, cool. Why wouldn't you have a little animated chimp guy? Cool.
Yeah.
It just is. And that, I think they tread that line really, really well. And there was definitely a reverence, I think, for source material there as well, which
definitely.
And even though if you've read it, you know what's going to happen at the end, I was still sat there like, oh my god, are they going to do it in time? Like, I know what happens. I've literally read it cover to cover hundreds of times, but you still sit there going, oh my god, is it going to be okay? And that is testament to a good adaptation, I reckon.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's a new Klaus only spin-off coming as well relatively soon from Dark Horse and the original team as well. So that'll be really interesting. Yeah.
That's going to be awesome. I think that was an inspired choice. Misfits was one of like my favorite TV shows. I love that TV show.
Yeah.
And I think Robert Schuman's inspired.
Yeah, definitely. And I think his performance, especially with the aspects where they covered like his PTSD and his addiction and his substance abuse and all things like that, really resonated with a lot of people. And really sort of, it was a really truthful and really like honest portrayal. and it wasn't it wasn't like a sort of acted up to be shocking sort of I don't want to say betrayal. But it was just like a really sort of honest look at it and how he was like struggling, and you know, and a lot of his personality aspects were just in to cover up a lot of trauma. And
it was very sensitively done,
yes.
And very honest at the same time as well. I think I think it was stellar for me. Really, really, really good. I think this is a good segue. Speaking of things that mean a lot to us, iconic comic books, My Chemical Romance.
Yeah, where are we going?
Not quite as well as The Umbrella Academy, and by that I mean a bit of a garbage fire, except the soundtrack. The Watchmen movie.
Yes. Yeah, so we'll talk about this. Yeah. Just not great. I mean, we'll talk about it a bit more when we sort of go back to the big two show, but it definitely needs a mention in this.
For sure.
Amazing soundtrack. Absolutely slapping soundtrack. But what? All the one-liners are painful. Again, this for me is like this is almost like a Scott Pilgrim thing, where I think a lot of people when it came out were like, this is what I will base my ideologies and my personality on, a la V for Vendetta, and also maybe don't take the wrong message from the wrong people. Like
read the comic book.
Yeah, read source material, not the adaptation.
Not to be the
we're not claiming that you're not a fan, don't worry. Just before you decide to dedicate your life to being a Rorschach clone, read the books a little more. Have a little look what's going on.
I remember reading, obviously Alan Moore's Watchmen, the DC. I was like you said, we'll come back to it more in the big two, but I was like, I have it. It still lives by the side of my bed. The proper, on the nice newsprint paper. It was
nice.
Perfect. And then I watched the film and I was like, oh, what have you done? What have you done? Oh God, no.
Yeah.
Oh, why? Why have you done this?
Yeah.
But the TV show is a different matter. But we will come back to this.
We will come back to this. Also, I don't think I'll ever forgive them for making Jeffrey Dean Morgan such a bad dude.
I mean, he can get away with a lot of stuff, but
yeah, even that was pushing it. So swiftly moving on to something that was good and then wasn't so good. The Walking Dead. Yes, we are walking with the dead. So I was probably 5 years late to the Walking Dead TV show party. Zombies just ain't my jam. I'm not that bothered by them. Like, I love me a vampire. Werewolves freak me out. But zombies, I am, I can sort of take or leave. So I was convinced to watch it because the 5th season was coming out, or the 6th. So we did like a mega binge, and we caught up within like a really, really sort of disgustingly short amount of time. So I'm not even going to tell you what it was. And I really, really liked the first few seasons. When everything really got going, I was like, yeah, this is really interesting. I really like the group. I really like the dynamics. I really like what's going on. I really like the peril. And then all the way up into like the prison was really good. And when you meet like the governor, like that's fine. I'm really here for that. That whole concept was great. And then afterwards, it just sort of starts to like wander away, and just sort of I stopped probably. I couldn't even tell you what season it was. It was at some point. We'd had the whole big Negan introduction, and there was all that battle, and then they tried to claim over wherever he lived and all that sort of thing. And then I was just like, I'm done. I'm absolutely finished.
Yeah.
There's just got to be a point where you're no longer going in line with the comic books, and you are just making your own way, which is fine. It's an adaptation. But I think
need to be word, letter.
Yeah, I'm happy for interpretation to step in. That's fine. Everyone's got a different vision. But where there was quite poignant choices in the comics, they weren't reflected in the telly show, and it was clear that those choices were based on, you know, viewership and numbers and the opinion of the public instead of being true to the source material. And that's where
compromise the integrity, I suppose, of your source material.
Yeah, and that's where I sort of start to feel a bit like, hang on a minute, maybe dial it back a bit. Like, Negan's a great bad guy because
it's Jeffrey Dean Morgan.
This is Jeffrey Dean Morgan, but he does need to eat a couple more burgers. He's got a little bit skinny. We need to get that dad bod back. But like, I didn't even mean Negan. I'm just distracted because it's Jeffrey Dean Morgan. The governor. Now, he's a really great bad guy because he's not a bad guy to the people who live in his camp, in his little town. Because he keeps
you've got the moral grey area. You've got
and then the invader is Rick, our hero, who comes along and just disrupts the whole thing and ends up, you know, the whole town ends up, I assume, in a big garbage fire. And you have that sort of, like you say, moral ground. But there was just so many elements that it was like, oh, that's happening again. Oh, that's happening again. Oh, here we are again. And in the end, I was like, there are better things for me to dedicate my time and my life to. I do love Norman Reedus. So him as Daryl is adorable. He's a little sweetie pie. But it wasn't enough to sort of keep me engaged. I think had it been a little bit more dynamic earlier, it would have kept me in.
I will level with you all. I have never actually watched The Walking Dead.
Crazy. But really, I don't blame you. And honestly, if you were like, oh, it's lockdown, I've got nothing to do, I would say first 5 seasons, great show. You'll really enjoy them, and then just stop.
Because I read bits and bobs of the comics, you know, I've read a couple of the floppy, I think I read a couple of like the bigger volumes.
The volumes, yeah.
Because like you say, I don't mind zombies. I think the way that zombies are reinvented constantly is really interesting to me. But I think, like you said, I was that late to the TV show that I just never bothered.
Yeah, you almost feel like you've got left behind because there's so much to get through.
Yeah, so I think I just never really bothered. I had a surface level knowledge that if someone at work came up to me and was like, "Oh, you watched The Walking Dead?" I'd be like, "Oh no, but I know that." You know, that
internet.
Literally, right? That very surface level knowledge. I'm not ashamed to admit that I was like, I'd check on, oh, that's what happened. I'm ready for.
We all know that you check all spoilers on Wikipedia. Don't worry.
I do that. You know, I do that anyway, which is a terrible trait of mine. But I think what you were saying there is a pretty general consensus in terms of fans of it came out of the gates strong, excellent stuff, then just tanked.
Yeah, definitely. And it has, you know, the reports coming out about the last season are that it has really, it's still going, yeah. It's done like a huge resurgence, but it is losing half its cast. So certain people have left, certain people have gone. Yeah. You know, and things have obviously had to change because of that, because these people have been signed on for like 10 years now, which is a huge amount of time to like commit to only one project. And you know, I'm hearing amazing things about the last few seasons, but it's not enough to make me have to suffer through like, I don't even know, you know, if we're on say like 11 or 12 now and I finished at 9, I'm not even going to commit to like the 10 to even get through to it.
It's like,
because what is it? This has been annoying me all week, and I was going to tweet about it, but I ended up being like, am I just having a weird rant? So I'm going to have it to you guys. What is wrong with the children in post-apocalyptic TV shows and films just causing all of the deaths, right? So you haven't seen Walking Dead, so you'll not really get where I'm at. But there was loads. Thanks. There was loads of instances in one whole season where one of the little girls was like, oh, they're my friends, they're my pets, they're not going to eat me. And loads of people got attacked because she was just like feeding them and giving them flowers. Right? And then, weird. And then I was watching Van Helsing, the TV show.
I'm going to be so excited because that film.
I love that film. Right. We will not hear a bad word against the film because it's peak cinema masterpiece. So, So the TV show is absolute trash, but I absolutely love it. And there was a little kid who was like, I can fix a radio. And they were like, just leave it alone. Don't touch the radio, because you obviously can't. You're 8. She touches the radio. She starts broadcasting that they're hiding in this little mountain base. Load of people come, load of people die.
It's like a quiet place.
Right?
Like, kid, put your damn toy down.
Put your toy down. Listen to their parents. They probably know how they're keeping you alive because you are 8. So then on the last episode, someone died because the kid, having been expressly told to stay in this nice, safe, warm house with this nice woman who was going to give it, literally gets a little Bowie knife and struts after them, and obviously gets kidnapped or gets attacked by a vampire. Everyone has to save her. Someone ends up getting bitten and then dies.
I get it. It's the innocence and the misplaced hubris of youth and wanting to do the right thing. But kids are annoying. Stay inside.
Just put them, lock them in a room if you have to go out, and then unlock it again. Obviously, like with another adult who isn't going out, or like, you know, put them all on a big lead so that they can't, you know, sneak off. But absolutely just the biggest rage. So moving on from that strange rant. I watched the first episode of Vagrant Queen this week.
We have obviously at the box we have a very personal connection with Vagrant Queen.
Yes,
it's
we
from
do.
Our absolute babies over at Revolt, and you know, not to say we're best friends with Tim Rosen, but we definitely are.
So we, as I'm sure you are all aware, we did a preview article of the series where we did a little roundup on all the information that you need to know about the comic, the series, the creators, the showrunner of the show, and the cast who are taking on the characters, which included an exclusive interview with Tim Rosen of Schitt's Creek and Winona Earp.
And that bad Hallmark movie we watched.
And a really bad Hallmark movie that we did watch just because he was in it, and it was really bad. Sorry, Tim. And he plays Isaac, and he plays him perfectly, as do every single member of the cast. It is like they picked him up from the comic, fleshed him out, and slapped him on the telly show.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those where you look at it and you go, oh, this casting is
it's absolutely spot on. Yeah, could not be better. And I think one of the things that really makes that what made that really, really work was a combination of like a lot of pretty much, I want to say 99.9% of the creative team behind the show are women, and they worked really closely with I think it was Damien of Vault, and made sure that they brought over what was an authentic adaptation of the comic book, and it has really paid off. It is.
You can see that closeness of the creative team of the comic book and of the TV show was very, very present. It really pays.
Again, like we said with Umbrella Academy, it is a brilliant introduction for people who have never been, who've never read the comics, who've just learning about the world, and it's a really good version for people who have read the comics as well, because it's just like, as much as you're seeing what you already know, like you said, what's going to happen, it's still really entertaining to see how it plays out and to see how the character sort of dynamics come to life.
Yeah, it's a really cool genre as well. I mean, we've gone for like some darker stuff. There's obviously the pretty much, I think actually I'm looking at our list of things, everything's pretty grim except Scott Pilgrim really that we've mentioned. Whereas I think Vagrant Queen's a whole new genre. It's that kind of sci-fi element.
Yeah, definitely. It's like a big
fun to watch on screen.
Yeah, definitely. It's like a big sort of melting pot. Like it's sort of like a sci-fi space opera with it's kind of like what, sorry?
Space Cowboys.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's like Space Cowboys, and it's got like comedy, it's got some one-liners, it's got, you know, sort of a really nice sort of family dynamic between like the characters and stuff. And like I've just written the review for the first episode, which will be going up pretty soon, and I was like, oh, what should I say? Like, I don't want to give too much away because obviously, you know, we don't do spoilers as much as we can help it. and I just had nothing but positive things to say. And you know, I think the only negative was I think it's on at like 2 a.m. in the UK, so that's really
Yeah,
unhelpful.
viewing times are a bit difficult, but that's something you can't overcome. You know.
But you know, Killing Eve season 3 premieres at 6 a.m. every Monday morning, so the world has gone bananas.
I know.
But yeah, Vagrant Queen is really good. It's really wholesome, and it's got representation coming out of the ears, which I'm just so into. It's got, you know, really strong sort of POC characters, lead characters as well. We're not seeing another sci-fi adventure which is led by a mediocre white man. It's an actual like functional team of people who, you know what their craft is, doing their craft, and is led by a strong but also still vulnerable, well-crafted, well-rounded woman.
Very important. She is the woman. Like, strong women are allowed to cry and want to be loved and have their hand held. They're allowed to have flaws.
They're allowed to be little kittens.
Like you don't have to just be strong because I had 6 brothers and learned how to fight. Like, you're allowed to have. And I think Vagrant Queen does a plus job of doing an actual, fully rounded woman.
Yeah, for sure.
Like a person, not like a strong woman. She's written as a human being.
She is, and she's not a stereotypical black woman either. So she's not just shoehorned into like a lot of the pitfalls of that sort of stereotypical representation either. It's just a really good show, and I think a lot of fans and a lot of people, especially, you know, even like younger viewers, will be able to see a lot of themselves in a lot of the characters.
Definitely.
Yeah, good show. I'm excited to watch number 2. And you know, it helps. It doesn't hurt that Tim Rosen is such a cutie pie.
Yeah, it definitely helps.
Yeah, it definitely helps. It's been moved for the US, so it's out on Thursdays now instead of Fridays. And the UK, I'm not 100%. It premiered a couple of days ago. So I will definitely include the streaming times in the article, but I'm not 100% sure.
On Sci-Fi, I think, isn't it?
Yeah, Sci-Fi and Sci-Fi UK, and Sci-Fi Canada as well. And I think they're doing like a limited time after it's aired. You can watch the full episode on YouTube.
Oh, that's cool. That's a really cool
so
option.
Yeah, if you don't have a subscription, I think you can watch it for a couple of hours afterwards. I don't know about the UK though. They definitely are doing that in the US.
Okay.
Yeah. So that sort of rounds up today's installment of comics and their adaptations. Like we said, we'll bring you a special Big 2 film and TV version in a couple of weeks, probably, where we'll talk about things like Wonder Woman and all of the MCU and dreadful things like Suicide Squad and the Justice League and all of DC apart from Birds of Prey and Wonder Woman.
I'm gonna put in. I'm gonna sneak in The Boys because technically the company that made them got taken over by DC, and I want to say something nice about DC, so I'll put that in there.
I like it. They got 3 good things, which is fine. Awesome. All right, cool. So we're gonna wrap it up. So we'll see you again soon. Check out the other videos. Be good, stay safe, stay inside, and we'll all be together again when it's all over, but we can only get to that point if we stay inside.
Stay inside, watch movies and TV shows and read comic books.
Yeah, for sure. If you're stuck for a recommendation, message us on Twitter or just send us a tweet and ask for a recommendation, and I'm sure we can find you one, especially if it's horror.
We have lots of opinions and we would love to share
We have lots of opinions and we like to share them, and we love this shit. So yeah, hit us up. Be good, stay safe, stay indoors.
Stay inside.
Bye guys.